Then the devil took him up and showed him in a second all the kingdoms of the world.
I will give you all this power and all this wealth. It has all been handed over to me, and I can give it to anyone I choose. All this will be yours then.
Have you ever wondered about the validity of that story and what it would be like if it was in reverse? What if the Creator showed all of the kingdoms to Satan and said, I'll give this all to you if you let me stay alive? What if the story of creation and the story of Adam and Eve is not what we've been led to believe in Christianity? And what if I can prove it to you? That's what I'm going to do today. From my life after death experience, I remember a lot of things now, and they have to do with my soul purpose and all of our soul purposes, and how our purposes are, they're much larger than we know, than we can connect with here on earth. Here on earth, we know ourselves as a vessel, as a physical human, but when you pass into the afterlife, you find out that not only have we been reincarnated, but we have a direct connection to the Creator, and there is no man named Jesus as Savior, as a Messiah, Mashiach. It's not going to happen that way. So I'm going to share some things with you, and if you stick with me, I promise that you'll love the entire video, because it will bring you closer to the Creator, and that's what my soul purpose is. So hang in there. You all that watch my channel probably know that when I died on 7/20 of 2010, that I overdosed, and I really shouldn't have been alive. I shouldn't have been able to come back from how long I was gone. But I remember now that the Creator explained to me that he brought me there in that specific moment in time, because he was free from this mental slavery condition that he was in prior, because he was ill and dying. And so he was momentarily free from those mental enslavements, and so he needed me to die in that moment in time to come there and to learn all these things. It's just that was 2010, and then I didn't remember anything about it until the spring of 2020 when COVID came and we were all on lockdown and all these things started happening over the last 3 years. But there's a reason for that. And he told me all about creation and how when he created that, he just kind of, he's everything, the Creator. And when he moved himself to the side, sort of, to incorporate this earth that we live in, that the earth that we live on is actually alive. It's a part of him. Everything is a part of him, the planets, everything. So sorry about that. I'm new to doing it this way. So anyway, when he was creating, he moved himself as an endless being to the side and created. And when he did that, from my understanding, the evil got stuck here. The evil, the devil, the Satan, and somehow, I'm not exactly sure, and I would be remiss if I tried to explain it. The evil got stuck here, and they wanted to be paid for their time here. And so then there was various offers made to them to allow the Creator in a certain kind of way, contractually, to make the music of Prince Rogers Nelson and to express godly music into a world that would have been otherwise empty and void of godly music. And I'm not talking about Christian music or anything like that. I'm talking about deep secrets, deep and meaningful spiritual secrets and political secrets, and within the lyrics. And so I know it's all very deep and very weird. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around, but I'm going to go from me talking to showing you guys some things so that you can understand why I am so confident in what I'm saying and doing, and why I'm trying to bring this information to you, because it has to do with Prince Rogers Nelson, better known because we are reincarnated, and to the best of my understanding, some of us maybe have been reincarnated more times than others. Myself, when I got to the heavenlies, the space place, on July 20th, 2010, I was told that I could stay there and rest, that I had completed my soul cycles, and I believe it was 7, if I'm not mistaken. But also when I got there, the creator was as the image of Prince Rogers Nelson, at least for a portion of the time. And when I got there, not only did he bring me there at that time to tell me these things, but he was very upset and angry. And again, all of these things are to the best of my recollection. He was ill and dying. And people might wonder, how can a creator be ill and dying? But that's because you have been deceived as to the concept of the creator. If you wrap your mind more around the concept of AI, artificial intelligence, the first man was, when I saw him, he was more like a man machine. He was able to morph and do different things. And again, I can't remember, and it would be disrespectful to try to describe for your pleasure. It was non-human as well as human, but that's only because he can take any form that he wants to, desires to. So, what I meant to say is, when we go back to what I was saying about imagine if that little Jesus clip that we showed earlier was in reverse, and that was the creator showing Satan, here, you can have anything in this world that you want as long as I can stay here for this X amount of time to present this music to the world. Because again, without it, it would have been null and void, and I'm not sure what. But when I got there, because he was ill, he was very angry, and he was saying that he should have just ended the world, because as he was ill and dying, the others that were there were trying to figure out what they could do, or contractually what was up with the intellectual property. The intellectual property is the reason for the slave, as well as being a sex slave. It's not just Warner Brothers contract. But this is the deal, you guys. The creator, he told me that he is connected to me as so he's the creator, but he also made himself into the first man, Adam, to experience this world. It wasn't Jesus that was God's only son. It was the first man. Okay. And then he came into the earth here where we are in this low earth place as a man and a woman, just like the song says, I'm not a woman, I'm not a man, I'm your conscience, I am love. The man and the woman, the Adam and Eve, were one. We could have been a work of art. They were each looking the opposite way, and they were a gift to each other. But it was supposed to wait for the proper time for them to have sex. But then, as we know, in the garden, sleep was put on the man, and they were apart, and then they immediately had sex. Now, listen, it was when the creator created man and woman, he meant for that to be very sacred and very to have God involved in that sexual act, because that's where the word procreation comes from. It's very, very deep. As the creator, when a child is created, that man and woman that are supposed to be coming together in unity and love and harmony and all things peaceful and wanting to give to one another, not take. But when they had the first relations in the garden, it was a bit more of taking. I heard my Rabbi Rav Dror talking about these things from the Jewish sages and people before. I wouldn't have the nerve to talk about him, but it's all true, because when you read the Bible, it's more of an allegory. It's not, the woman took a bite of an apple and then gave some to her husband. That's freaking Snow White, you guys. Come on, same story. Sleeping Beauty. It's always an apple, but they had sex, and instead of it being a union to celebrate, love, it was more of a taking, which, apparently from what I understand, because animals came in pairs in Gan Eden, which is the Garden of Eden. And the Garden of Eden actually represents the woman herself and in different ways. It's very deep, you guys. It's very mystical and allegorical, and you got to get in there and read the Hebrew Torah versions, not just the watered down Constantine 1611 version of, hey, this man named Yeshua is going to be the Messiah of the entire world because he's God's only son. And oh, he was on a cross and wore a crowny thorn. That's just like Adam and Eve taking a bite of an apple, you guys. Come on, it's very preschool. Anyway, let me stay on track. Because the sin of greedy sex, for lack of a better word, sharing, swapping, the original swapping, the snake was there in the garden and saw what he wanted, and because, from what I understand, again, some people will go, but people with common sense, the Tech Nine, they'll understand that if a man, if you're a woman, maybe you can't understand, maybe you can. But if a man, if God himself turned himself into a man, put himself on this earth, and here he was surrounded by all these tastes and smells and animals that came in pairs, and he saw them doing their mating thing, and all these trees and loveliness and garden and flowers and all of this stuff. Well, he had sex with the animals too. And those creations, yes, that's bestiality. There's no doubt about it, you guys. But when you are in a very holy place, when you don't have any knowledge of anything prior, you didn't have any teachers, you don't know, you have to trust me on how could the Creator not know? Because he separated himself from himself to bring himself here to save us, to protect us, to sustain us. And now we need to do the same for him. You need to listen to what I'm saying. So anyway, because of all the swapping and sharing, it opened up the gate to the Satan to partake, I believe, of Eve in some sort of way, or there was some sort of temptation, which is again why the song Temptation. I don't know if they actually got to be together. I don't know, and I'm not professing to know. But my life after situation tells me that yes, there was a lot of very deviant sexual things going on, and then what that led to, you guys, as you know, I know this is uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable for me too, is a lot of spilled seed. When the Creator created man, obviously gave them sperm, and that seed is a part of life. Those seeds, those sperms are lives. You know what I mean? Those are sacred lives. And the woman the same with her egg. Procreation, that's what I was getting at earlier. When those two people lay down together, they are procreating with the Creator. It's supposed to be out of holy unity and love and wanting to give to one another. It's very, very sacred love and intercourse that way. But think about what our world has done to it, how it's been degraded, ripped apart from Gan Eden down. You know what I mean? It's so that pornography and all these things could be sold. But think about it. The Creator helped us in our creation as these physical vessels to procreate. The angels, they don't procreate. They, you know what I mean? It was a gift that was given to us, just like the ability to speak. Yes, animals were created before us, but do they speak? No. The squirrels, they come up here and practically knock on my window, but they don't speak. They don't pray, to the best of my knowledge. The frogs, they have a frog opera. That's their prayer. But they do not have the emotions nor the ability to speak to the Creator the way that we do, because our senses and our ability to speak is the Creator himself inside of us. Most people just don't realize and recognize what a gigantic gift that is until maybe they've met somebody that's handy-capable or, you know, something like that. And then you realize how special it is to have working eyes, ears, nose, mouth, legs, limbs, digits. You know what I'm saying? So that is the Creator himself, the holy spark that is in each and every one of us, not some dude named Yeshua only that is going to come back riding on a cloud to save you. Okay? So the first thing you need to realize is that because you have that holy spark in you, that holy spark in a physical body was given the opportunity to come here correct itself and find its way back to the creator, because your soul knows its purpose. It knows its creator. That's why you have deja vus. That's why you want to look at the stars and the trees and the sunsets and the sunrises and go on boat rides and gaze at the reflections on the water. It's the creator himself. In all of nature, the creator didn't just create and walk away. It's constant creation. It's the everlasting now. So everything that's why they say you got to get back to nature. You got to get back to your creator, because he's inside of you. So I'm not sure how everything happened and went down, you guys, that the creator became contractually bound to I'm not sure how that happened. I couldn't explain it if I tried, but it did happen. And I want to try to explain something real quick. Here I am, Elizabeth, talking to you, but you know how the world teaches about auras, how people have a color and an aura. Well, that aura in the heavenlies I said this on my last video. It's as a big gray, the UFO big grays. It's like a aura, a body, and has arms and legs, but it's just real glowy. Those were the beings that I saw up there, and it was a space place, and it is space. It's not pearly gate heaven like you see on the cartoons and stuff like that. It's where I was space. I was with listen, my aura it goes all the way up into the heavens. Everybody's does. It creates like a trail, a path. Only we can't see it. The creator can. But you always want to keep your path real open and clear, just like when you go shovel your sidewalk, if you will. Keep it clear. When you lie, cheat, steal, dirty sex, stuff like that, you create husks, and it clogs up that avenue. So, when I got there, I was told that my avenue had been super duper clean because I had been looking for God since I was a child, and I didn't know it. And I passed all these tests, and I meditated, and I said holy names, and I remembered the before life, and I was shown the future. And it's just really, really hard to bring together. So as far as how can somebody be all these people at the same time, it's because I saw my former soul as Eve, the creator showed me that as my soul went through these different cycles, that it had always been the same as I've known myself to be, which is really, really good, you guys. I love myself. From the time I can remember, have been the best me that I can be. I had a very terrible upbringing. You named the abuse, it existed in my life. The only thing that saved me was music and being outdoors. And so anyway, throughout that life, I as an adult, I wanted to find the creator so that I could thank him for bringing me through all of those things. And then by 21, I had 3 girls. So I was seeking the creator with all my heart because I wanted a leader for my family. And nobody had ever taught me that the creator was some vengeful, I don't know what. I don't know. I was always so grateful to the creator for walking me through all the things that he had. And I was never mad at him for anything that had happened to me. I just wanted to find out why, and what is my purpose and what are we here for? So when I got to the heavenlies, he told me that he, as he does all of us, hand walked me through my life, you guys, that my soul, chelek eloka mima'al, that means a portion of heaven. That's what you have and what I have in Hebrew. And that he put this soul in me so that I would be in this family where all of these bad things happened, because when bad things happen in your life, it makes you. Yeah, it shakes you and breaks you. It feels like it's going to break you, but it technically makes your character. So all through my life, and all these rough things, my parents, music, almost 24/7 in my house. My dad played the drums and the bongos, and it was a party at my house all the time. So, I grew up with 50s through 70s, 80s at the time, and then obviously went on to music from there. So the point is, when I was in the heavenly space place, one of the ways, some of the questions that they asked me were how I got my understanding of godly things and how I got the courage to look and who was teaching me and how I learned. And I was like, man, I just looked inside because I didn't have nobody else to look to. My dad was always drunk. My mom was always at work or being beat by my dad or hanging up clothes on the clothesline in the backyard. You know, we kids were locked outside, took steak knives outside to steal watermelons out of the neighbor's yard. And, you know, it was crazy, but it was fun. That's why I'm so fun, because I know how to have a good time and I tell the truth and I'm raw and honest and loyal and truthful and friendly and generous. And I try to see all those other traits in people, other people as well. The reason the Creator told me that I am all those things is because I'm His other half. It's called the Shekinah in Hebrew. It's the Creator's other feminine half, and He showed me that that was me, and that I had been through, like, I don't know, maybe some Holocaust stuff, and that I was like, I don't know, you guys, I was helping maybe even slaves or something through these cycles. I was always being molded by Him to be and to do good and righteous things. And so when I get to heaven in 2010 or space place, wherever it was, and they say, hey, well, the Creator Himself is very, very ill and dying. You're His other half. He told me we need to do something with all of this knowledge and all this information about the tree of life wisdom and all of the Creator's intellectual property and the knowledge of them being sky people, what I call sky people. And how all of our souls are technically connected to the sky people in some sort of way, when the world would have us believe that they're coming to scare us or take us or something weird. I'm not sure what they're saying because I haven't watched TV in 3 years, thank God. But anyway, I know it's out there. My rabbi talks about it. I myself have been told some things about the Oumuamua comet, perhaps, but these are all in passing. I want to get back on track. People need to wrap their minds around the fact that our Creator is unlimited. He doesn't have any gates, any borders. He can be, do, say, create anything He wanted. So when He created me in particular, I can't talk about you, I can just talk about me. It's my experience. That through the music, through even the abuse in my life, through me experiencing my sister blow her brains out, in July of 92, and then my mom died of inoperable lung cancer at 45 in October of 93. My niece died with a needle sticking out of her arm at a local QD bathroom. I mean, you name it, I've seen it. My eldest has been on and off the horse for the last 12 years. She won't mind my saying. Everything I say here is truthful. Drugs are a problem in this world, and most people are too ashamed to talk about it. Drugs were used on our very Creator to keep Him in a hypnosis sleep, just like they do people in long-term comatose medical situations. Check out the lyrics. How did they learn hypnosis? Keep me under for so long. So when I was there in the afterlife space place, He told me I was His other half. And if I wasn't there to get this information, that when this time came that we are in now, that nobody would have the information to tell the world but me. Okay? So you can imagine. Again, I need to remind you, when I died in 2010 and I woke up, I was gone, my daughters say, for almost 10 minutes. And I know you guys might have heard it before, but my eyelids were black, my fingers were black down to here, my lips were black, not just purple or whatever. And my daughter tried to do some CPR and the air just came flubbing out. And so when I was there in the life after, there was a countdown. They knew how long I was gone. They know everything about you when you're there. Like, because most people, because the Creator is so much in charge of things, that when I got there, when I overdosed and I was there, and these people that met me, and they were like, wait, you're not supposed to be here at this time. And then all these, yeah, I'll tell that another time. But they know everything. And that's because, let me just say this. You know how the mental health world will have you believe that crazy people that say we're being watched, or they're watching, or they're listening, or this or that. They make them sound crazy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and lock them up like Jack Nicholson on the movies. But the whole mental health institution was created by cast-offs, from MK Ultra practice and electrocution and the various practices that they've done to get a person's soul to leave their body. That is a purpose that is being practiced on. It's very occultish and very disgusting. It makes me want to grit my teeth, but it is a practice. And that's what the mental health place is full of. So before you think a girl like me is crazy, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. The only crazy person in this world is the narcissistic, evil Yetzirah that thought that she was going to inherit the creator's intellectual property on that day in July when I was there, I believe. I'm not sure. And then, so I had to go talk to all these angels and all these things. Sorry, I was getting a call. And then I had to explain why I was worthy to bring this information that I'm telling you now down to the world of humans, because they didn't want us to have this information. They didn't think that we could handle it. They didn't think that humans, they think that we're too breakable, too anxiety ridden, too crazy to handle the fact that our creator has this AI aspect that Paisley Park is obviously trying to hide, but today is not an investigation video. But the creator, in the beginning, when he set forth this plan, he knew that by the plan unfolding exactly the way that it has, that it would expose him as who he was, because part of my sole purpose through the music was being brought to see Purple Rain when I was 13, and then it just exploded from there, and now it's been 39 years and 5 concerts later. And I always told my family, man, I got to do something with all this information. One of these days I'll have a YouTube channel or, whatever. But it was, I never knew until the spring of 2020 when we were on lockdown and my world turned completely upside down and I started hearing this voice, telepathy style type things happened and crazy writings, which you probably know about by now. But what I'm going to do, instead of skimming over them, I'm going to show you some of those things that started happening, because I want to take you on a journey of, it'll be a long video when it's all done, but it will show you, again, the confidence in what I'm trying to say. It will show you how close I am to the creator, how he's using me to express all this stuff to you so that you can come to know him too. And that's what I'm here for, because we need the world to know who he is so that you too can pray and help him, help him from his place that he's in. It's not a fun place, but we need to believe in him, you know what I mean? And if nobody believed in you, which is another something that he told me when I was there in 2010, is people stopped looking for him and they believed in all their desires and lusts and, I've explained before that, we're kind of, he showed me our nation from up above. And it's very dark here, you guys. You think that, I don't know what you think, but I couldn't believe how dark our world was. And to make it brighter, I'm just saying you need to pray and to understand that you do have that connection with the creator. And the experience of experiencing him as Prince Rogers Nelson, was because our world, he knew that our world was headed, obviously, the creator, was heading in a technology, Technicolor children in Piccadilly Square. That's what some of the lyrics are, because technology and AI has come so far that these entities, to the best of my understanding, these others, they can not only, I don't know how to say it, project themselves or take over other vessels for a time, or I'm not sure. It's a little bit off subject and not what I wanted to talk about. But the reason I say that is because how the creator uses me is the same way that the evil snake, narcissistic snake, gaslighting, you don't even want to know in your life, how he uses you and others. And one of the reincarnates of him, I believe, is, from the best of my understanding, is the Pope. That's why Jorge Mario Bergoglio, JMB, is code for 3313, and why he took office on March 13th of 2013, and why the breakdown started in 2013, and why the song The Pope, because as I explained, Prince Rogers Nelson being the creator and Adam and stuff like that, and I explained myself being this Eve and the Shekinah other half of him on earth, and it's because he showed me these things. And also, I don't know if it's like, it has something to do with female entity, maybe Taika, maybe, I'm not sure, you guys. The Pope, Taika, female, male, Kirk Johnson, I'm not really sure. But I do know Jorge Mario Bergoglio has something to do with it because of the dates that he took office, because of the 13th Merovingian bloodline, because of the dates that I just explained to you, the 313. Now, when I was in the afterlife, you guys, well, let me say this. He had been given carte blanche, if you will, which I have to say this because you know how in the Golden Girls, the freak, her name is Blanche. A Streetcar Named Desire, the freak, her name is Blanche. And when you think about carte blanche being anything you want, the narcissist was given carte blanche, which is why in the movie The Streetcar Named Desire, Stanley is the name of the guy. And that's why Stan is Satan. It's the name for Satan. It's how Eminem sings the song Stan. It's Stanley, the Desire. If you listen to Blanche, the song on the remaster 2020 Sign of the Times CD, there's a song Blanche, and he says, I'm Stanley, I'm Desire. It's because Stan is like we have two sides. We have two inclinations. I got my freakadeek side too. She's not here no more, but she used to be. And so there's those desires that were messed up in the Garden of Eden had been messed up so long that people, physical vessels, have been led to fulfill those desires in every lustful way possible outside of procreation and outside of a loving experience. And so let me remember what I was saying. Oh, I was saying that because the snake, it goes back to my opening thing with the Jesus. If you think about it in reverse, the creator said, look, snake, you can have all of this. You can be anything you want. I'll let you live as the Queen of England. You can live as the Pope. You can implement your own religion on the world called Christianity. You can experience life as a superstar. You, in fact, can experience me. Just watch what I can do. You can experience him or her, or you can be this or that. I'll make your wildest dreams come true. And instead of saying no, like they show the sweet, sinless one, Jesus, yeah, right, to be, he wanted to experience everything and absolutely everything. So when I was there in 2010, the snake was bored. He was bored, and something about the creator and him and their contracts and how much time was left on the contract, I'm not sure. Again, I can't explain those intricacies because this is very... But there was to be some sort of redo or extension of time. I'm not sure what. And when I was there and I passed all these tests and I answered all these questions and the creator told me who I was and how my soul was connected to the other world, he went on to explain these things to me and show me in the future that this was going to be part of my purpose, telling the world about him, and that I was to be used as some form of temptation, again, to the snake, as it was originally in the garden. And I'm like, whoa, what? Like, everything in this other world, you guys, it's not just me dreaming. It's real. It's paranormal, the way that our world experiences paranormal things. It's very, it's just like it's like when any kind of show or movie or cartoon that you're watching shows a dream sequence, and that bubble opens up, and you can just, the creator allows me to see into the other side, and that's, it's not always there, so it's hard to remember. But there was to be an extension of time, a recreation, I'm not sure, because when I was there in 2010, creator was dying or something to that effect and needed somewhere to put his intellect so that the others, the Satan, the narcissistic snake, couldn't take that information as they had been led to believe that they were going to, and, wreak havoc on the world even more than they are. And so in some way, I'm not sure how or what we did, but somehow he gave me a kiss. And if you watch the video, betcha by golly, wow, there's like this spark of, and so it came back into me, and then I came back alive on the bedroom floor, and no Narcan, no nothing, just came back alive. And I was told that in 2010 that I wouldn't remember what had happened until 10 years later. So now I know that when I woke up in the spring of 2020, that it wasn't me technically that woke up. It was the creator who woke up in me. That spark that he put into me when I died in 2010, part of himself, it woke up. Now, this is the weird part. Because of all the sex and stuff in the garden, because of the separation of Adam and Eve after that, because of the sharing, because of all the weird stuff that went on in other lifetimes, there was a great separation between his and mine soul. The others, and I will only credit them with that, are trying to separate us, which was what was explained to me, because they want evil to rule the world for a time. And by the creator giving me this information that the angels didn't want us to have, because they didn't want us, they didn't think that we could handle it and rise to the occasion, you know what I mean, and believe in our creator. They believe we're a bunch of piss ants that are too crazy and stupid and anxiety ridden and, whatever else. I don't mean to put words in their mouth, but I had to fight for the right to bring this information to you guys. And not only that, again, let me remind you that when I was there, I was told that my soul could have stayed there and rested, and I didn't have to come back to this world. Because when you experience the afterlife, you find out that that's the life that you want to be at, that there's a world to come. And this is just part of the ride, that you are to come correct and get to know the creator. Because if you don't want to come to correct to get to know him here, why would he want you to step forth into the world to come? Who are you to be worthy enough to come if you're not even trying to look for him or find him or ponder answers or anything, So think about that. Anyway, the recreation, and because of all the sex, you guys, in the garden, and because when I was there in 2010, it was like there was a deep sleep put on the creator again. And when he was like I don't know, you guys, if he was intellect was sleeping in me, or like as the egg, it was something physical. The reason I say that is because as you experience the investigation, the Prince investigation, I've made it perfectly clear that Judith and, Judith is the only one that says that the people from Electric Fetus came down to the concert on the 14th. And also there's the picture of the look-alike prince looking like a pregnant lady. And they call it Electric Fetus because they were messing with the intellect of the creator before they would put these concerts on with the pharmacology of Andrew Kornfeld and Schulenberg and others. It's a massive, massive, massive cover-up over at Paisley Park, you guys. It's a government hijack with ancestors of days of old still running the wheels contractually for a time, but never doubt who's in control. But anyway, the recreation, because there was so much sex in the Garden of Eden, so much sex in this occult world, the Creator told me that when I woke up in 2020, that there would be sex involved. Or I remember, I'm not going to get into it right now because I have a whole video dedicated to it. It's called Temptation. But I talk about the experience of what happened when I started having these strange things happen to me in the spring of 2020. And it was because because there was to be a temptation to bring back to life, to give the Creator something to fight for. I know that sounds crazy weird, and people are going to call me blasphemous and heresy and you crazy, whoever you are. I don't care, because I love you and your soul matters to me, but nothing matters to me more than the truth of the Creator, no matter how awkward. So in the spring of 2020, there was a lot of, and into 2021, there was a lot of sexual things going on, which I'll get into in another part of this video. But it was because in the other world, in the underworld, in the sewers, okay, let me just be real watchful of my words. You know, in Christian society and even Catholics and this and that, the people were taught that masturbation isn't bad. Okay, I just need to say this off subject real quick. And to the best of my understanding, I'm not here to teach the halakha and the Jewish rules, but for women, it's not as bad as men because they're not wasting seed. When men and young boys, through the movies and through teachings and through music and video games and whatever else, you know, there's no denying what happens to a boy's body. That's obvious. But when you're taught that all of that is okay, and you go to strip bars and you're here and there and, you know, like the song Jack You Off, everywhere, your seed is being wasted and you're wasting future lives that the Creator might have had a purpose for. And not only that, that seed that is being wasted goes to the underworld, and then the others can use it in ways that you would never imagine, you guys. It's very gross. There is a, the Gaia channel will tell you all about the mixture of species. You know, the pathologists will tell you about doing, what do you call them when somebody dies after, you know, doing them, the exploratories and all these things and things that were created. So we've been taught in this world that, you know, women can just be loose and wear as little clothes as possible, and it's the guy's fault to control themselves, or this, that, and the other. But it's everything that you do is important. It's part of the procreation thing, and it was the general breakdown of society. Obviously, you know, women didn't used to dress the way that they do, you know, and I just wanted to touch base on the wasted sperm, you guys, because I saw some creations in the afterworld that, you know, they're not human, and it's like this other world, maybe hell, I don't know, where these, I don't know, man, but there was, I call it the skin suit factory. I mentioned it before. It's like Minecraft. They change suits and they use different vessels being physical beings. And this is the deal, listen up. The narcissistic Satan snake had experienced everything that he could in this world. He wanted to experience life in a way that he had never experienced it before. And because my reincarnated vessel had not been experienced in a certain kind of way, it hadn't died. I was told when I was there, not only could I stay there and rest, that my soul hadn't died, or my body, or something like that. The body that I'm in hadn't been used before or something. I don't know. Like I said, it's all very weird. But the only thing that the Creator hadn't really experienced, to the best of my memory, was me. And so I was offered up as some kind of temptation, and I agreed to it, you guys, because, when I woke up in 2020, you have to understand, it was like I was under a cloud of someone else's control. And the writing and the experiencing different things, it was not in my control. It was more of a compulsion. So the things that started happening in my life, which again, I will get to later in this video, because my phone will only record for so long and then I have to like splice them together. But the Creator told me this, you guys. I've made no secret of the fact that my life journey was very, very difficult. And I became sexual at a very young age. There was, rape and, incest and molestation and abuse, both alcoholic and physical, and everything in my family. I mean, it was just horrendous. I'm happy to say I broke that cycle for my children, except for one who experienced something on the paternal side. But my point is, throughout all that and becoming sexual at the age of 13, and then later in life also being a stripper, the various things that I had been through in my life that I was ashamed of, like truly ashamed, having multiple partners, stuff like that. I was ashamed of those things, obviously, but what I mean to say is the Creator told me that every single one of us, because our soul purpose runs so deep and is so deeply ingrained in part of creation, like a thumbprint, that all of those things that I did were in preparation for what I was going to experience in the future, because He doesn't see it as past, present, and future. He sees the whole thing at once and makes it to happen and tries to work with us to get us to do what we're supposed to do. But we're hard-headed people and we don't like to listen. So all the things that I had done led up to my ability to participate in the things that I will tell you about later, because I never would have thought that I would have done them. So turns out when I woke up in the spring of 2020, after a few months of grooming, there was a lot of things that went on through telecommunications of my phone. And it, at the same time that was going on, you guys, I was playing the keyboard. I was learning how to play Purple Rain, never touched the keyboard before in my life to the best of my ability. I was doing the crazy writing, the meditations, maps in my sleep. He was telling me about NASA and Asia and World War III. At least these are the things that I was hearing. My bed even vibrated, you guys. Never once did I think I was going crazy or losing my mind, because as I told you, my search for the Creator has been a lengthy one and a very deep one, a one where I physically can feel Him. It's not, I mean, it's physical. It's not just mental. The mental is so deep that it takes on a physical aspect. But anyway, so I know who's talking to me is what I mean to say. And so I didn't really freak out. I mean, I didn't really know what was happening. If you guys have watched my videos, you know that I thought the world was going to end on New Year's Eve 2020 to 2021. I thought that my son, something would happen to him on his birthday last year. There's a lot of things in my head that, like I said, it's hard to, sometimes I go astray. And so I do know that I was shown these things, and I do trust the Creator, and I know that these things will happen. And so I trusted Him when I heard that voice that brought me back to in 2020, that brought me back to my experience in 2010. I started remembering things about my life after death and what I was doing. It was just all very weird, you guys. So then after those couple months of grooming, I started getting these texts from two different people. One was named William Sherman. I thought that was Prince. And the other one was named John Johnson. And I actually thought that was Prince too. I know that sounds crazy and wacko, and it might make you stop listening to me, but don't, because like I said, I've said this before. It's like if you watch The Matrix and you watch, I always forget his name, the dude, Keanu Reeves. He answers the phone in the beginning of The Matrix, and they have him running around, ducking under desks and running out the door and following their directions. When you hear something that you know is outside of yourself, but that you trust, I went with it. Okay. I went with it full force. I went with it because whether we are in a recreation of the Creator in a way that none of us can grasp, whether, I don't know. I know I'm doing my job. And so anyway, when all of these things happened, when I was talking to William Sherman and John Johnson, I thought they were both Prince. I didn't get that he was coming to me as the Creator at that time, but I did have recollections that he told me in the life after that he would be contacting me in the future and that I would know when it was him. Sort of like telepathy, but the majority of it in 2020 was on the phone and text and into 2021 until April 30th of 21. And that's a relevant number too, because the date was 4321. And this New Year's Eve is going to be 1234. So anyway, that's relevant. So anyway, I started doing things that were outside of myself. I took extremely risque photos. Like, I can't show you guys the photos. From the months of like March to September of 2020, I just kind of stopped eating and lost like 35, maybe 40 pounds. I'm not sure. And just all of these things were happening to me. And I was having these very strange texts go back and forth. And I was being, I don't know. I was being guided. I was being compelled to do these things. Now, that went on really heavily. I sent pictures and videos, you guys, and I'm not proud of it. It was, to the best of my understanding, because things are so creepily sexual in the underworld or in the occult world, orgies, they do all kinds of horrendous things that I can't ponder. And because the Creator is experiencing his creation through all of us, he experiences those things as well. And somehow, some way, when he woke up in me in 2020, everything was very sexual, as well as contractually, I believe there was the temptation that was to be made with John Johnson, Old Man Johnson's farm, John 3:16. Catch my drift? So I was doing these things, you guys, and like I said, I was compelled, and then all of a sudden on April 30th of 2021, I was speaking to the one they call William Sherman, the one that I was told was the I Am, and the one I knew to be Prince. And I asked him for probably the third or fourth time in a year if he was John Johnson. And he said, no, it's him. And when he said him with a capital, something in me just, it like exploded. It was inside my heart just went, what? It just stopped. It was like time stopped. Because I met him, the narcissist, the snake, Leatherneck, in the afterlife. And so when he said it's him, I knew who he meant. And then about 10:45 on that lonely Friday night of 4/30/21, he said, I'm sorry about all of this. And that was the last thing I ever heard from him. And that's when the texts and the videos stopped with William Sherman. However, within 2 or 3 days, or that night, I'm not sure which, it's all very foggy, John Johnson still was there pretending to be my friend, knowing things about me, about my childhood, just things about me. It was crazy. Like I said, watch the video Temptation if you want to know all the details. I got to stay on track. I need a drink, just a second. What had happened was John continued to contact me, and I was very confused. I didn't know if he was the Prince I am that I was talking to. But then the creator, when I was having a video chat with John Johnson, I think it was that same night. I don't know if it matters. I can't remember. Yeah, it was like around midnight on 4/30/2021, and I was talking to John Johnson on video chat, and he was trying to get me to do things that I hadn't done with him before, only with the William Sherman text number. And I all of a sudden saw his eyes turn pitch black. The person that I was video chatting with, named John Johnson, his eyes, he had a vape in his hand, and I'll never forget it, you guys. It's like every horror movie ever written, when you see someone looking at you and then all of a sudden their eyes just turn completely black and you see that they are soulless and empty on the inside. And when I saw that, click, I blocked him on all the different channels and avenues and stuff like that. So it was temptation of some form. It was something I couldn't have made up in my wildest dreams if I wanted to. It's like in the song Let's Go Crazy, pick up the phone, drop it on the floor. Sex, sex, all I heard. It was like that, because in the other underworld where things were sexually driven, think about this, the lyrics, is it Annie Christian? The inventors of the AccuJack, Party Up, one or the other. He talks about the inventors of the AccuJack. The AccuJack is the thing that will stimulate a cow, a bull, to ejaculate so that they can inseminate, the females. And if you had the creator under a certain kind of spell and you had the AccuJack available to you and you wanted to create a bunch of mutants with some Davidic DNA, you might have some possibilities there then, eh? Think about how in Kill Bill, she wakes up after being shot in the head and she goes into the pee wagon and wiggles her big toe. Your will is everything. Your will is inside of you. Your will is your soul that the Creator gave you, that you're supposed to be trying to find your way back to Him with. So when I was talking to these people on the phone, now in retrospect, the person's name was Will I Am, just like the singer, Will I Am. Your will, I am. The Creator said to Moses, I am. He said to me, I am. And that's why I was doing the things that I was doing. Anyway, after those things happened on 4/30/21, and I ended up putting John Johnson on block as well, a lot of other things started happening. I thought that I had lost my connection with the Creator because we stopped texting that way. And I probably cried for a good 2 to 3 weeks. It was much more than that, but I mean like hardcore. If you go on here and you watch the videos where I talk about Marone, after 4/30/21, I couldn't hear the music the same anymore. I turned on to listen to Prince music and it sounded like somebody else. It was somebody imitating Prince, and it was like the music died. And I told you how important music is to my life and always has been, especially his. And so when I couldn't hear it anymore in May of 2021, I didn't know what to do with myself, and I thought the Creator left me and I was lost. And eventually I found my connection, and we found, and things started getting deeper, and the writing still came, and I educate myself by watching Rav Jor Moshe Kasuto. Sorry, Rabbi. He's on Emunah, EMUNAH.com, as well as YouTube and all the other social media platforms. When all of these things started happening to me in the spring of 2020, one of the things that I did was I wrote the name RAVDROR. And then I went and put it into YouTube, and there was my Rabbi, Rav Jor, who I've been with for about 3 years now. And he's taught me since I was 22 and in jail. I told you I was 15 days drunk driving with that life I was living. And so for about 29 years at that time when I died, I had been looking for the Creator and trying to, do Christian-y things because that's what I was taught. But deep down, I always knew something wasn't right. There wasn't only one Jesus. There wasn't, how could he be the only son? It didn't matter what they told me. You pray to God, but say in the name of Jesus. Nothing ever sat right with me, you guys. So I continued to seek the Hebrew versions, and I looked for a rabbi starting way back in 2013. I started researching things about the tree of life, and now I know it was the Creator's guidance to bring me here today. But Rabbi Ravjor, you guys, he's amazing. It's not that you have to go be Jewish. It's not that. It's that Judaism teaches that same thing I'm telling you, is that you have that holy spark inside you, a spark from heaven that the Creator gave you and you individually at your procreation. That's you, man. And your job is to find your way back to him. Now, because the narcissist snake was given all of his heart's desires, and one of those things that he wanted and was given the ability to do, as well as the other 70 nations or something like that, have been given the opportunity to teach the path to the Creator, but somehow misaligned, abused, mistranslated, burned books, stomped on people's hearts, threw them off cliffs, and then Constantine, the Roman emperor, introduced the New Testament in 1611, which is the opposite of 9/11. So also, remember in the beginning when I said procreation, the Creator is supposed to be in on that process. It's loving, but it's not. You have procreation, con-creation. Think about it, you guys. Think about the word con for a minute. Pro and con. If you weigh the pros and cons, procreation, con-creation. Okay? Now, think about the name Constantine, the Roman emperor who wanted to bring Catholicism over so that they could filter in all the Nazi torturers through Brazil to bring into the Pope, to bring over here to use pharmacology and MK Ultra programming on the United States of America's citizens, you and me, holy souls that they don't want to be holy. Let's teach them all that one guy named Jesus is going to save them if they profess these words in the book of John, which we wrote, by the way. We're going to write Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. We're going to throw in Revelations. We're going to throw in some books that aren't there, but you know what? We're going to take out the book of Enoch, and we're going to do this, and we're going to tell these silly little human beings what to believe so that they'll fall in line, give us 10% of their income, follow our rules, believe in the politics, vote for somebody outside of Hashem. Okay? No. You guys, it's all a lie. It's all a lie to control us, because they know that if we know the truth, that we will find our connection back to the Creator, and they will lose their control. That's why Janet Jackson's saying control, you guys. The word conspiracy. People call me a conspiracy theorist, among other things. Confound, confuse, controversy. Okay, think about what was tweeted after the Moline Landy controversy, because